He found $2 million in the desert, and it cost him everything. Llewellyn Moss is hunting antelope in the heat of the Texas desert when he finds a ghost story made of metal and blood. 5 trucks, bodies everywhere, a drug deal gone wrong. And one man still alive, begging for water in a language of gasps. Moss has no water. He takes the dead man's gun and leaves, but he comes back. That night, driven by a ghost of a conscience, he returns to the scene. He finds the money, $2 million in a leather satchel. He also finds the dying man again, or what the dying man became. Someone put a bullet in him while Moss was walking away. Moss sees the headlights of a truck in the distance and runs. He doesn't know it yet, but he just made the worst decision of his life. He took the money. And something ancient, something inevitable, is coming to collect. This is No Country for Old Men. The Coen Brothers' masterpiece. The movie that broke every rule of Hollywood storytelling and became the defining film of the 2000s. Today, I'm going to break down every scene that matters. The coin toss that became an icon of dread. The killer who doesn't fit any category in criminal psychology. The ending that made audiences furious and critics weep. Stay until the final scene. Because the real villain isn't who you think. And the hero, he doesn't get what he deserves. In this world, no one does. The film opens not with an explosion, but with a voice. The weary, gravelly narration of Sheriff Ed Tom Bell. He tells us about a boy he sent to the electric chair. A boy who killed a 14-year-old girl just because he wanted to. No passion, no reason, just a void. Bell says the papers call it senseless, but he isn't sure. This sets the stage for the entire film. A world where the old rules of good versus evil have been replaced by a violence that doesn't care about your soul. It's a neo-Western where the frontier hasn't just been tamed, it's been poisoned. Then we meet Anton Chigurh, the man coming for the money. He's not a hitman, he's not a psychopath, he's something worse, something that doesn't have a name. We first see him in handcuffs, being led into a police station. A deputy is on the phone, bored, not paying attention to the monster in the room. Chigurh stands, puts his cuffed hands over the deputy's throat. The struggle is silent, save for the squeal of boots on the floor. Chigurh's face shows nothing, no rage, no joy. He chokes the man to death with the cuffs still on, his eyes fixed on the ceiling as if he's counting the acoustic tiles. Then he takes a shower, then he takes the deputy's car, then he walks out into the sun. This is our introduction, not a villain speech, not a tragic backstory, just death as routine. Chigurh retrieves his weapon, a captive bolt pistol used for slaughtering cattle. It's a tool of the trade, the pneumatic hiss, the silent surgical hole in the forehead. This is how he opens doors. This is how he opens people. It's an extension of his philosophy. To Chigurh, people are just cattle waiting for the bolt. But Chigurh has principles. That's what makes him truly terrifying. He doesn't kill randomly, even if it looks that way. He has a code. When he catches up with Carson Wells, the man hired to find the money, he doesn't shoot immediately. He sits, he talks, he explains that Wells should have seen this coming. That if the rule Wells followed led him to this room, of what use was the rule? Then he shoots him. The principles don't save anyone. They just make the death feel like a mathematical certainty. The famous coin toss scene is where this philosophy reaches its peak. Chigurh needs gas. The attendant asks an innocent question. Where are you coming from? Chigurh turns this into an interrogation, into a judgment. The attendant doesn't know he's on trial for his life. Chigurh flips a coin. He tells the man to call it. The man is confused, scared. He calls it right. Chigurh gives him the coin, tells him not to put it in his pocket. It's his lucky quarter. If he puts it in his pocket, it becomes just a coin, which it is. The man lives, not because he was good, not because he was bad, but because the universe, in that specific microsecond, decided he should continue to exist. This is Chigurh's theology, randomness as fate. He doesn't decide who lives or dies, he lets the coin decide. And when the coin decides wrong in his eyes, he corrects it. He is a principle made flesh, the principle that the world doesn't care about your story, your hopes, your plans. The world has its own cold logic, and it will roll over you without noticing. Llewellyn Moss thinks he can outrun this logic. He's a Vietnam vet, a welder, a man who knows how to survive. He sends his wife Carla Jean to her mother. He takes the money to a hotel in Del Rio. He hides it in the air vent. Moss is smart, but he's playing a game he doesn't understand. Chigurh finds him because of the tracking device hidden in the money. Moss didn't check. He didn't think to look for the how because he was too focused on the where. The hotel chase is a masterclass in tension. There is no music, just the rhythmic beep of the receiver. Moss in one room, Chigurh in the hallway, both men listening, both men waiting. Moss sees the shadow under the door. The boots. He knows. Chigurh knows. The silence stretches until it feels like it's going to snap. Then the phone rings. It's Carson Wells trying to negotiate from the other side of the door. Chigurh hangs up. Moss escapes through the window, but the hunt continues across the border into Mexico. Moss makes it to a hospital. He hides the money in the river weeds. He thinks he's bought time. But Chigurh crosses the border without slowing down. He kills the men who try to stop him. He retrieves the money. The tracking device is still beeping. Moss took the receiver, but he missed the transmitter. Another mistake. Another lesson in how Chigurh operates. Thorough, patient, inevitable. Now, let's talk about Carla Jean Moss, Llewellyn's wife. She's in Odessa, waiting for her husband. Chigurh finds her instead. This is the scene that breaks every Hollywood convention. The hero's wife, the innocent. In any other movie, she lives, or she's saved at the last second. Not here. Chigurh sits in her kitchen. He explains that Llewellyn had a choice. He could have given up the money to save her, but he chose the gamble. Carla Jean says the money had nothing to do with it. Chigurh disagrees. To him, everything is a chain of consequence. Every choice Moss made led to this chair in this kitchen. The coin toss happens again. But Carla Jean refuses to play. She says the coin has no say. It's just him. She challenges his destiny bullshit. She calls him out on his vanity. Chigurh insists. We don't see the result. We don't hear a shot. We just see Chigurh walk out onto the porch and check the soles of his boots for blood. The ritual is complete. Carla Jean dies not because she was a character in a movie, but because she was a point on a graph that Chigurh was drawing. Then there is Sheriff Ed Tom Bell, the old man of the title. He's been a lawman for decades. He's seen things change. He's seen the violence get louder. He tries to protect Moss, tries to find him before the darkness does, but he always arrives too late. He finds the aftermath, the blood on the floor, the spent shells. He visits his uncle Ellis, an old lawman living in a shack full of cats. Ellis tells him a story about a relative who was gunned down on his own porch. He tells Bell that the violence isn't new, it's just that Bell is getting old. You can't stop what's coming, Ellis says. It ain't all waiting on you, that's vanity. This is the heart of the film. The recognition that the good old days were never that good. That evil doesn't need a reason. The country has always been no country for old men. The old men just didn't know it yet. They lived in a dream of order that never actually existed. The final scene is the one that left audiences fuming. There is no final showdown. Chigurh isn't caught. Bell retires. He sits at his kitchen table and tells his wife about two dreams. In the first, he loses some money his father gave him. In the second, he's riding through the mountains in the cold. His father rides past him carrying fire in a horn. He knows his father's going ahead to make a fire in the dark, and that when he gets there, his father will be waiting. The screen goes to black. No music, just silence. The audience wanted a catharsis that the Coens refused to give. They gave us something true instead. The world doesn't resolve. Evil doesn't get punished just because we want it to. Heroes die in motel rooms, wives die in kitchens, and the lawman who tried to help retires to tell his wife about dreams. But look at Chigurh at the very end. He's wounded, not by a hero, but by a random car accident. A car runs a red light and smashes into him. He limps away, bone sticking out of his arm. The coin didn't save him. The universe he claimed to serve turned on him without explanation. Randomness cuts both ways. Let's talk about the technical soul of this film. The cinematography by Roger Deakins uses the Texas landscape as a character. The flatness offers no cover. The light gives no shadow to hide in. It's a hard light that exposes everyone. And the sound design? There is almost no musical score, no violins to tell you when to be scared, just the sound of wind, the hiss of the bolt pistol, and the sound of your own heart. When a movie removes the music, it removes the safety net. You are alone with the violence. The performances are legendary. Josh Brolin as Moss, the stubbornness of a man who thinks he can win. Javier Bardem as Chigurh, the stillness that is more frightening than any scream. And Tommy Lee Jones, the weariness of a man who realizes he's no longer the protagonist of his own story. No Country for Old Men won Best Picture, but its legacy is bigger than an award. It changed what a thriller could be. It proved that audiences could handle ambiguity. It looked at the world we built, the money, the violence, the cold logic, and saw the mechanisms underneath. The money moves through suffering, the violence follows it, and the decent people, they find small consolations in dreams, in memory, and in the hope that someone is waiting ahead with fire. I'm breaking down the films that define cinema, the ones that stay with you. Subscribe if you want to go deeper into the frame. Comment with the movie that haunts you, the one you can't stop thinking about. I might be the one who finally explains why. Next up, we're looking at There Will Be Blood, but for now, watch your back. Not because someone is coming, but because someone is always coming and you never know which side of the coin you'll call.